Welcome back to the Remedial Film Class podcast. I'm your host, Dan.
And I'm Travis.
And I'm George.
And George has now seen 10 whole movies. Can you believe that?
Wow.
10. That's one for each finger and one for each thumb.
Yeah.
What?
One for each fanger.
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 Don't hit it too hard. Don't fanger it. You got to fanger it if you want to be Arkansas.
Right.
Fanger.
Fanger.
F-I-N-G-E-R.
Listen.
Fanger.
Shout out to all my homies in Arkansas.
We're in Jersey, and we hit everything hard.
That's true.
We're from Jersey. We finger hard. Hey,
we
George.
hit that G hard.
Wow.
So George, we've put you through a lot the past 10 weeks or so. For this next lesson in American recent film history, we're going to go to the year 1999. Travis, you want to tell him what he's won?
Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to announce that George Warner will be watching The Matrix,
I'm very excited about that.
starring Mel Gibson. Can you imagine? Yeah. A very, very fine addition to the Keanu Reeves cache of movies.
A guy you can't make fun of anymore because now he does awesome movies and is actually pretty good in them.
I never made fun of him. I've always been a fan.
Have you seen Bram Stoker's Dracula, Travis?
Yeah. He's terrible.
Like,
he's
whoa.
terrible in Speed, too.
Whoa,
but he's
vampire
awesome.
guy, what?
Whoa. Whoa. Hey, bloody guy. Dude, is that Hannibal Lecter over there?
What?
Yeah. What?
Isn't he in like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure?
Yeah, he's
He
Bill
was
and Ted
perfectly
in
cast
every
for that.
movie.
Yeah.
Yes, he was playing himself.
And he'll be Bill or Ted, whichever one he is, again this year when the next one comes out. Anyway, George.
Everybody on this side of the bus. Yeah, good stuff. Anyway.
Oh, man. The bus that couldn't slow down. Hey, George. What do you know
Yeah.
about The Matrix, man?
Only what I've seen in memes.
Okay. Well, you've got a little bit of... well, it depends on which memes you've seen, but I bet we're going to illuminate some things. But first, we got to show you the darn thing. So what do you say, Travis? We kick him in the butt and send him off to school.
Yeah. Don't forget your lunch money.
All right, George. You're plugged back in?
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
You
Yeah.
plugged back in. That was good.
All right.
Yes.
So,
Is this real?
or is it not real? Does it matter?
Right. Like, did
Most
you actually sit and
likely,
watch the movie?
most likely not.
Is math real?
But-
Because Twitter is giving me mixed messages this week.
Yeah,
I'm not on Twitter, so I don't know what's going
No,
on. I'm not part of the Twitterverse.
Real quick,
I'm
just
not a
give
tweeter.
me a quick George summary of how you feel after watching The Matrix for the first time.
Okay, this is a movie. You know how you guys are always telling me that I need to just let the movie take me, along for the ride?
Yes.
This movie did that.
Nice.
Really?
Yeah.
High five,
really did.
Travis, from across the country.
Yes.
Yeah.
Halfway. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, he's been looking forward to watching this, I think, for a long time. Before we even decided to do this, he's been talking about this movie. So
You know, there's this
I think
weird
we're actually
thing,
doing this
George,
for this movie.
where if you're really excited to watch a movie, did you know you could just watch a movie?
No. Yeah. Well. Yeah. It's one of those things that, me and you and Travis have been talking about doing a podcast, and it almost once we started talking about doing a podcast, I thought every movie that I wanted to watch,
You waited.
I was just like, nah, we gotta start the podcast first.
So glad you waited
Me too.
till marriage. That was awesome.
I mean, it did take us 21 years to get here, but we're here.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, you waited till this marriage to watch The Matrix.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny, too, because I was
Awesome.
watching it again today in the new 4K release. I know you guys love it when I update you on the resolution of my movies. But
Yes.
I watched the new release. It looked really good, as you can imagine. Lots of
Did
nuance.
any of it suffer?
No,
Did any of
it
it
all
suffer?
holds up.
No?
All the special effects, this movie, keep in mind, this is still, I think, probably shot on 35 millimeters. So they
Right,
still had
right.
like a certain, level they had to reach with those special effects. They held up pretty well. But let me tell you, 5 minutes in, I'm thinking, ooh, is George going to like this movie?
Right. Very.
And
it
then about 10
felt
minutes
dated.
in, for real, I was like, do I like this movie?
Right. I was was thinking the same thing. I'm like, this is so dated, and I'm like, they did that on purpose. Like, it's a fake environment, so they made it seem so just like even the computer screens, and when he's talking to Trinity, it's like that old style green digital font.
Yeah,
and it's like the beginning of computers, and I'm trying to think. I thought we had like IMAX by then.
yeah, like nobody used DOS anymore at this point.
I was on a computer in 1999. My computer did not still look like that.
No. So I think they did that on purpose.
Although he was a hacker, and
Right.
I know that hackers go in through the back and they use
that's what she
the
said.
terminal or DOS or whatever. So maybe if you weren't a hacker in 1999,
But even
maybe
at
it
his
looks old to
job,
you.
at his fake job, like that cubicle was so like stereotypical. I felt like I was watching 9 to 5 for a second there. Like it
Yeah.
was just so like 1982 office.
Yeah, it wasn't Google.
Now that you
Right.
mentioned that, though,
Yeah.
the office I used to work in up until I moved here, we did have those exact cubicles,
Right.
and we also had that exact lobby, and we actually did have the giant CRT monitor when I first started working there,
Okay.
circa
The compact
2008.
monitors.
So, like, actually, I think his monitor was a little more advanced than my first monitor.
Okay.
So, is this movie, okay, maybe parts of the world were still like this in even 2008.
Right. Mhm.
So, and that I can
Yeah.
attest to. It reminded
I'm
me
glad
too
you
much of
liked it.
Ghost Rider. Do you guys ever remember that show from PBS?
Yes.
The
Mhm.
first episode we watched with the kids the other day is the opening of The Matrix. I was just like, oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, I know where Matrix borrowed this from 20 years later. And I guess 8 years later?
It had that hackers feel to it too. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the movie Hackers.
Oh,
No,
you're
there's a
referring
movie.
to a movie. Okay.
Yeah,
no,
there's
I
a
haven't
movie
seen
called Hackers, and it came out like around the same time. Like it brought me back because I was working at the movie theater when this came out, and I felt the same thing. I'm like, oh my god, this is going to be the third movie that we picked, and he's going to hate it. I know it. And then like the fight scenes, the beginning, the simulation kung fu stuff. I'm like, is he going to think this is corny? So I kind of was watching it I was overwatching it.
Okay, so with the simulations, right? You know, when he was learning kung fu and he was fighting Morpheus
Mm-hmm.
in the kung fu simulation or the training module or whatever, it didn't look quite right. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It didn't look like real life, but it's
Didn't
supposed to look like that,
Right.
right? It's a
Simulation.
Right. It's a training module. The day after they do that kung fu and then the jump simulation and then he goes to bed and then the next scene it's Morpheus and Neo in the real world
Mm-hmm.
and the lady with the girl with the red dress,
Right.
whatever. And that is also you find out is a
Simulation,
training
right.
module. That training module looked better than the kung fu
Right.
training module to me. Yeah, so the fact that they looked kind of cheesy when they were in the different simulations, I was like, yeah, well, it's a simulation.
Right.
Yeah.
Morpheus George would like you to upgrade the fidelity of your Kung Fu dungeon
No,
so that
I'm
we
okay
can
with it.
even out with the real world simulation. Is that okay? Can we do that? So before any of this, guys, we have to talk about the bug in the guts.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the bug in the guts?
Yeah.
That was
When I
awesome.
was a kid, that was completely unnecessary. And now that I am an adult, I feel like it's
Still
completely
unnecessary.
necessary, but I think we'll get into that later. What did you think about the bug in the guts, George?
I don't know. Were they trying to maybe do an homage to Alien or something like that?
Like, what's the
I don't
deal
know.
with the, we think you're bugged. Like, that was too on the nose for me. I didn't like
Right.
that.
It was
you've
like-
been
yeah, it was-
bugged.
I think it had. I loved it because it kind of had that feel of you're born connected through your umbilical cord, and that's where it went into his body.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, they purposely. It could have gone in through his eyelids. It could have went in through his mouth. It could have went in through his nostrils. But
Could have
they
went through his ass.
Could have went through his ass.
Yep.
His,
That's a different
You know.
movie.
that's the Mantrix. don't
Yes.
rent that one.
Or do. We don't judge.
Or do, yeah, it's up to you. If that's your thing. Yeah, so I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed the animation of it was pretty good for the time because I know computer generation was taking the front seat of a lot of movies at that point. They'd started really enjoying themselves with the computer generation. So
Yeah.
it didn't. It still looked like a special effect, but it still had a practical feel. So it did. It was. I like
What was
that.
great was how they ejected it. That
Oh.
was awesome.
What, like sucked it out?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool.
It's like they
the
took
car.
the X-ray machine from a dental office but made it a vacuum.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
cool. And that was neat because I was watching it with my 14-year-old, and he was lost the whole time. He's like, "What the?" And I'm trying to explain to him, like, okay, when they look like they're prisoners, they're in real life, and when they look like they're cool superheroes, that's inside the Matrix. So I was trying to explain it to him because he has issues when it starts getting involved in like time jump and all that stuff.
You need to show him. What's that layered dream movie?
Like
Inception.
Inception?
Yeah, Inception.
Well, I tried to tell him it's kind of like what they recently have done with the Doctor Strange movie.
You should have just
He
told him
liked-
it's like a video game.
Basically,
The
that's
Matrix
what I
is
wound up
like when
saying.
you're
I said it's
playing,
when you're in your video game.
Minecraft
Mm-hmm.
or whatever.
But he was
plays.
kind of getting. He was trying to figure out, and I said, "Look, they have hair here. They don't have hair here. They're trying to show you different ways they look."
They've got hair on
So-
these parts. They don't have so much hair on these parts. They're really smooth.
It's a biology class now.
I just meant they look well. Like
No, yeah,
they
we-
almost look like superheroes when
We
they
know.
were inside the Matrix. That Keanu Reeves' hair was like perfect, but then when they were in the real life,
Yeah.
he looked like his head was shaved.
Yeah,
and he,
we
you know
get
what I
it,
mean.
yeah.
So I was just trying to explain to him that that's what they were doing to make you know when they were going from different point to different point. And he was just like he was getting lost, and I was like, oh my god. But
Well, he needs to watch it a couple more times.
But
Yeah,
does the
that's fine.
bug in the guts?
but he liked it.
Does the bug in the guts write a check that the movie never cashes? Because at the beginning, it really feels like it's going to be like a body horror picture. You know, like it's going to be Shivers or something. And then, that's the last time they ever do that. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
So it's a weird like start without a finish.
Well, they kind of show the brutality of the AI with the Sentinels. So it's kind of like that thing was like a mini version of the Sentinel.
Oh, can I just say that I didn't know that AI was the villain of this movie until I watched it.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know
Right.
that AI and you know when Neo woke up, you know,
Saw
in
the
his
chambers. Mm-hmm.
in that bath of whatever, and you see that there's towers and towers and towers of people in these little chambers, and that it's robots, or not robots, but AI
Yeah.
that are and then you hear the storyline of how they're harvesting, humans for their energy, basically using them as batteries. Had no idea, zero, had never even heard the concept before.
Yeah. No, that was. I don't want to say it was new to me, but I seen it so long ago that when we watched it yesterday, I was like, oh, okay. Like I totally had forgotten all that. I just thought it was, some kind of company that was just running people's lives, kind of like an elite group.
Yeah, that's what I
yeah,
thought.
I like the AI part of it. I never even.
Yeah, and I didn't even know that, like the Sentinels, they look like, like giant squid or whatever, but they're mechanical, right? I didn't, none of that is in like the previews or the
Right.
memes or anything like that.
Yeah, it had kind of a Terminator thing to it. Like it was.
Yeah,
Which was cool.
yeah, totally. But yeah, that took me by surprise.
Now, if I were on the marketing team for The Matrix, I'm going to confess to you guys that if I were trying to sell this movie, I would keep the AI and like the ship stuff out of the commercials because it's freaking boring. Or was that just me?
Right.
Like anytime they're in the Matrix, this movie engages me. And anytime they go back to
Right.
the pink pod water hoses, floating brains that should kill him, but just let him escape. And then,
Right.
I mean, what? Sorry, you lost me. Are we on the? Oh, we're back. Guns.
Right.
Yeah, I think the part that really killed me this time was the gun stuff. Just isn't that? I mean, I don't know. When I was 14 or whatever, seeing a guy do a cartwheel with a gun was cool. Now it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, more guns. Cool.
And the showering of casings falling. It's like
Yeah.
it's almost like an art film in a way.
You're waiting for the white dove.
Yeah, the white dove to fly by. I think the real life stuff would have been less boring if they went I guess I don't want to say that if they went kind of like the Alien 3 route where they kind of really gave you some really meaty characters to really kind of hope for them. Like, these guys were just people to die. Like, they were only developing a few of the people. They didn't develop everybody.
Yeah.
They could have at least worn red shirts. Give me a little splash of color,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Just
Yeah, I think the development and maybe more stuff going on in that environment. Because there were parts where you kind of were, I don't want to say on the edge of your seat, but they never really showed you too much of the danger until they wanted to show you, and then you were like, oh shit. But it was so quick. Like, it didn't have that suspense. It was more like a sense of urgency. It wasn't like Alien where you're like, there's just 2 hours of what the freak's going to happen in these corridors.
Yeah. I was actually, when I was watching it on the DVD and the DVD started skipping, I realized that I was an hour into it, or like an hour and a couple minutes, and I thought I had been watching for like 15 minutes.
first 35 minutes really fly.
Yeah, it
I have
does.
no
Yeah,
complaints.
it was, yeah. But I thought at that point, wow, I've watched this movie for like an hour and I still haven't seen any of the action that this movie is known for.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
But you did see him wake up, and then he woke up again, and then he woke up in the thing, and then he woke up again, and then he wakes up again, but this time he's got a hose in his back, and then he wakes up again, and this hose is different, but it's also in his back.
Did they ever explain why Morpheus... Now, I could be totally wrong here, but I was looking for it and I didn't see it. Morpheus did not have the plug on the back of his head when he was in the Matrix. He didn't have it, obviously, but they never really showed it when they were walking around in real life.
He has to have it.
But he had to have it because he was hooked in.
Yeah.
But
He has to have it.
I was wondering why they made the choice to not really... Because they showed Neo's the whole time. They couldn't show Trinity's because she had hair.
Maybe
Right.
Lawrence
But-
Fishburne was like, no, you're not putting a giant anus on the back of my head.
That's true.
I don't imagine
Oh,
you
hey.
tell Lawrence Fishburne what to do.
No.
He seems really cool.
Yeah, I like him. And he plays that character really well.
When this movie came out, it was basically like an hour lead up, and then it was the lobby scene, and then we were all hooked. So
Mhm.
had you seen the lobby scene in like pop culture stuff besides like commercials? Were
No.
you aware of that shootout at all?
No. The shootouts that I had that I was kind of familiar with beforehand was on the rooftop with the agent, where the agent dodges all the bullets.
Right.
And then
Well, that was in the
Neo
trailer.
does a limbo.
The Matrix move, as it's.
Yeah.
I mean, still, if you look
yeah.
up Matrix GIF, that's got to be your top 2 results, right? Like,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know about the lobby shootout.
There's a cool scene in True Lies that kind of does that same thing. They do it in a bathroom,
Okay.
like a public restroom, and every ceramic tile in that bathroom gets blown up.
Now, did they
Yeah.
use guns, or were they just doing it in the public bathroom?
I think there were guns. Yeah. And then I think they did the whole gag where they reach for a gun and they both pull the trigger and it's empty. Then they reach for another gun and they pull it up and they put it at each other's face and it's empty. So they do the same gag, but it works.
Yeah, at the time they even had like a way for nerds to check the performance of your video card with like a simulation based on that scene, but in the Max Payne engine. I remember all of us being like, "Ooh, I got an extra 200 points on my 3D video card score," and the other guys being like, "Well, I don't care. As long as I get to see the lobby scene, I'll run it again. It's cool." God, to be a nerd in the early 2000s was good times, kids.
I like the lobby scene, but I kind of like the escape from the building scene better when they go down through the water wall.
See, I'm just all about that minigun on the helicopter.
Yeah, it's pretty
That
sweet.
seems like
How did-
way overkill.
How did he not shoot Morbius?
I don't
Morbius?
Is it Morbius?
Morpheus.
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 I got Mobius in my head because I almost bought a Amazing Spider-Man 101 recently.
I mean, you say that, but really, we all know you were listening to Moby on the way to George's place.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Mm.
No, I was talking about Morbius. Scratch that. Reverse it.
Yeah, I was watching this afternoon after work, and I got to the end. Now, my kids are huge Rage Against the Machine fans because I'm a good
Right.
dad. And
Mhm.
so I paused it right at the very, very end, right as he's talking, before it zooms out of the phone. I'm like, hey, guys, come here, check this out. And the second he hangs up that phone and the first chord from Wake Up comes on, both my kids lose it. They're like, we know this song. So that part still works.
That's awesome.
So the soundtrack to this movie, George, I assume you don't own it, but you should because it's amazing. This is actually one of my like top 5 soundtracks of the 90s.
This and what, Batman Forever?
Batman Forever's on there. No laughing, George. It's actually quite good.
I'm laughing because I was joking.
No, have you heard the Offspring song that's on there or the?
No, I like it.
Yeah, no, it's good. And then
I think Godzilla had a good soundtrack,
Godzilla
too.
was right up there too.
Yeah.
And then the dark horse of the 90s, man, Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber.
Hell of a soundtrack.
Yeah, good stuff. That and Empire Records.
Oh, Empire Records is good. But anyway, George, the
Yeah.
one thing about the soundtrack that doesn't hold up for me so much is the first major song is Dracula, and it's a Silly Club remix. Before Rob Zombie was ruining Halloween movies, he was ruining The Matrix.
I didn't really take much notice to the soundtrack.
What?
I really didn't. I mean,
What?
I did notice the Rage song at the end, and I was jamming kind of like your kids. But you know, I don't know. I didn't notice it.
Dan, this is coming from the guy who watched Batman and didn't take notice to Danny Elfman's music.
It's almost like we need to send this guy to school to how to watch movies.
Yeah.
Just close your eyes. The soundtrack just becomes a character.
You know what it is? It's like when you're learning a new skill, and you know you have to, like it's swinging a baseball bat or anything. You got to like get all these things coordinated in this, in order to complete the skill properly.
Gotcha.
And
this
it
is your
takes a while.
golf swing, and the soundtrack is bent knees. And
Exactly.
You just keep forgetting to
Right.
bend your knees.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's-
and this.
He's bringing his head up on the backswing.
Yeah, but when I bend my knees, then I forget to let the movie take me.
Yeah.
Like
I
this
really
did.
wish you wouldn't say it like that.
When the movie took me for like you said, I just everything like character development, music, whatever,
Bow, bow,
cinematography,
bow.
it all goes out the window
Bow,
because
bow,
if the story's good,
bow, bow, bow.
Anybody want to go play volleyball with our shirts off right now? I'm feeling it.
I'm gonna need
Come
a
on,
couple
Maverick,
weeks
let's
to
go play-
prepare, man. This quarantine ain't been nice to me.
We'll look like Dumb and Dumber out there playing
That'd be
volleyball.
so funny. Who
Slow
invited
motion.
3 Seth Rogans? Damn.
Speak for yourself. I'm more like I don't know, a Jonah Hill.
oh, I was gonna say Chris Farley.
Yeah, I'm not Carl. Oh my God, Phew, that's rough.
Now, before we were talking about Moby and Mobius, we were talking about Morpheus a little bit.
Morpheus.
Now, are you guys familiar with the Morpheus tradition at all, or do you just know him as the name of the guy in the Matrix?
I'm not familiar.
Okay, so this is where this movie actually succeeds for me, right? Like
Okay.
the spaceship stuff, the beige, so much beige, and not like sepia beige, but like just boring beige. Ugh. We're not looking at like Batman Begins here, where everything is like a distinct, intentional.
Right.
Anyway,
A
love
warm
Batman Begins.
color.
Don't
Yes.
love this one. Anyway, it's okay. Aesthetics, not everything. So Morpheus is like a Greek god, kind of related to sleep and dreams, right? Because he keeps waking up. But also he was like a shaper of form, like a guy who would form things, right? He was a creator, kind of like if you were to think of like a Minecraft god, right? That's Morpheus. So it's like a illusion with an A.
Mhm.
Illusion.
Illusion.
As we'd probably say in this area of the country. Illusion.
Illusion.
Illusion. He got that illusion. He got that illusion. Them Greeks and those Italians and their illusion. Ugh. Sorry, Arkansas. Sorry I live near you. But then I did like also the Nebuchadnezzar reference. Anybody with a Bible around here recognize that name?
I recognize the name. Hold on, it's coming back. Nebuchadnezzar was a king.
Mhm.
Despot. Babylon.
And hold on.
Okay.
And
Mhm.
didn't Nebuchadnezzar, wasn't he the one who threw the 3 guys in the fire and they didn't burn or something like that? I don't know.
I don't know.
Nebuchadnezzar. Yeah, he was a king and he was
Yeah,
not so nice.
Yeah, no, he's a real tough king. In the Bibli, he's a king, and he destroyed Solomon's temple.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's destroying the AI's temple with his Nebuchadnezzar ship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. The name of
Yeah.
the ship is Nebuchadnezzar, right?
Yeah.
So
And weren't they trying to make a parallel between Neo and being the one and being like the prophesized, basically the Christ of the story, or were they not going that route?
I think it's a different one because he, spoiler alert for later movies, ends up, fostering a child via the old-fashioned way, if I remember right.
Right.
So that's not the Jesus story, but he is certainly,
Right.
The hero's arc and all that. You're going to get some of
Right.
that. I used to like Nebuchadnezzar because, for one, he's in the book of Daniel, and I'm kind of partial to
Mhm.
that one. Also, in the old Batman show, Riddler at one point boxes under the pseudonym Mushy Nebuchadnezzar. So as a kid, I was like, oh, I know that name from Batman. I'm going to read this story in the Bible.
Because everything always comes back to Frank Gorshin. Always.
It really should. That guy should be
It
king.
has to. Yes,
I mean, he's
love
dead
it.
now, but we can get a hologram.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
That'd be awesome.
Love that guy.
Now, George, did you go to college?
Yeah.
Did you take any philosophy while you were in college?
Yes.
Are you familiar with the Allegory of the Cave?
Allegory of the Cave. No.
It's from Plato. Basically, the story in very short podcast terms. There's a guy who lives in a cave and doesn't know it. He's with all his cave buddies not knowing it. And what they
Mhm.
think is the real world is just like shadows on the wall created by someone holding up forms behind them,
Okay.
projecting on the wall. And then one day he gets
Mhm.
out and he's like, oh, damn. There's a lot more than
Nice.
just this cave. And then he gets back down and he's like, hey, guys in the cave, guess what? You're never going to believe me. You're never going to believe me. But and they're all like, no way, man. There's too many people. There's no way it could be because if it was someone would have told us by now. And he had to live with the idea that either he could live in the cave with his old friends who wouldn't believe him that or he could leave the cave to an uncertain future and leave his friends behind.
Red pill, blue pill.
Yes.
So anyway, I like that stuff.
Yeah.
I like that they in the next ones I hear that they put a lot in there, but podcast listeners, I've never seen the other two matrices because other than the lobby scene and the philosophy, I was kind of bored, so I didn't put myself through 6 more hours of this.
Right.
Well, to your point, I don't know if this is philosophy or not, but you remember a couple podcasts ago when I was talking about why I like tragedies
Yes.
and how I basically said that life is a tragedy, but it still can be beautiful. You notice that the AI, they said, well, we made a perfect world for you to live in, but it wasn't
should
good
be happy,
enough,
right?
So we had to make this. Everything was perfect, but it wasn't real enough for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and he actually said, so I forget the actual line, but he's like, I think that you guys are wired for despair or suffering or something like that. I don't know. I thought it was interesting because I think it's true.
Like, no matter what you have, no matter how many things they throw at you in that simulation, you're still human. So you're going to go down that route. So it's, I didn't even think of that. That's pretty good.
So that was one thing that I thought that they did that well.
It's a missed opportunity. I'm going to point this out right now. Y'all are going to think I'm crazy, and then I'm going to have to leave this cave. But this, as an indirect sequel to The Truman Show, works.
Yes.
It really does. There you go.
Yeah.
Matrix Zero, The Truman Show. It was too perfect, and eventually they figured it out. So then we had to kill everybody with pods. How would you deal in a perfect world, though? I mean, these are still human bodies, which would age, decay, and die. So do you just, write people out of the perfect Matrix, and then, they went to the store, and they'll be back soon, and then you'll forget about them, and they'll never come back?
Well, wouldn't they die?
But why would they die in a perfect world Matrix, right? There's still tragedy there. If it was
Right.
really a perfect world, wouldn't there not be death? Or would there be death? How would you handle death? There we go. How would you handle death in a perfect Matrix world?
I don't think that there would. Well, because the real body would eventually die.
Right.
Right. Unless AI has figured out a way to keep the body
Preserve,
from
yeah.
dying.
Well, no, they show growth because in the flashback they show embryos in those sacs.
Yes.
So they do grow there, and they probably do die there. So if your body inside
Well, you say
the pod
probably
dies,
do die there, but they didn't address that.
Well,
Right.
but they
I
have
mean,
the ability to
technically-
flush the tub. Is it a tub or a tube?
Right.
They flush him out at that one point like he's dead.
So if they flush him out, then wouldn't the AI version of that person just blink out and be considered dead? Wouldn't you just
That's
die?
what I'm saying. Like, how would you handle that inside this perfect Matrix world? I want answers. Wachowskis. Is that how you say that? Wachowskis?
Wachowskis? You talking about
The creators of the movie. I don't know how to say
I
their
think it's
name.
Wachowski.
I'm really sorry, guys. Is it a cha or a ka? Is it different in Arkansas than it is in New Jersey? Probably.
I don't know. I haven't said their name since this movie.
Also, one thing I was thinking that I haven't really thought about it a lot, but maybe a plot hole. The whole reason why are they trying to, overcome AI? Like, the world is destroyed already.
It's
And,
the
you know,
whole
the-
human
The real world is, why?
Yeah, but you still want to be free.
To not be a slave.
Yeah, you don't want to be a slave, which I guess is the moral of that.
You don't want to live in fear. You don't want to live in a tub. You don't want to wear a mask. Some people just can't handle it, man. Once they find out the truth, right? Like, I bet there were candidates who they, exposed, and they were just like, oh, blue pill, bye.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that was Joey Pantoliano. He was
A cipher?
Cypher, yeah. He decided he wanted to go back. He's had enough of the real world, and he wanted to go back. So I'm sure it happened many times.
and he was already red-pilled, which I don't know how that affects.
Yeah.
They explain real quick, oh, it messes with your things so we can track you. But it's like, you just wanted that guy to swallow that pill. Like, you just like watching
Right.
people swallow pills.
And were there only 3 agents? Like, I know they could take on the body of anybody that was inside the Matrix, but there was only 3 agents.
Well, I mean, those guys are getting paid at least scale. So, I mean, you don't want to cast too many guys.
Right.
His
Well,
agents.
they could have CGI'd Mr. Smith, which they do, I think, at some point.
Part of it's probably just for familiarity's sake, you know? Just
Right.
give you this feeling of eerie, redundancy.
Mm.
But, I mean, part of it, too, is just salaries, guys. I mean, it's pre-tech boom, but we're not made of money here in Hollywood.
Mm.
I think that the number of agents is irrelevant. Once Neo, okay, so at the end, this all ties in together. The reason why the number of agents doesn't matter is because I know I was watching the movie waiting for Neo to break the rules
Mm-hmm.
that the AI couldn't break, right? So they're fighting in the subway, and I'm waiting for Neo to break the rules, and they really made you wait for that,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And in fact, there were times when, the agent Smith was, punching super fast, and I'm thinking, when is Neo going to get faster than this guy? Because I know he can, because I know that Morpheus said he could. Like, Morpheus, basically his theory was, their AI, they're still bound by rules, but we're not,
Right.
right? I knew that was coming at some point, and obviously it did come in the end when he's in the hallway, or when Neo's in the hallway, and he basically stops these bullets, mid-hallway, and they all drop.
Right.
Right? That's when Neo becomes the one. And at that point, it doesn't matter how many agents there are.
But they established there could be thousands of agents at one time because they can take on the bodies of whoever is in the simulation at any point. But they never...
I think
in a
it's
scene.
kind of like in
Mhm.
GoldenEye, where it's like, yeah, there's 12 different Russian soldiers on the screen, but there's 3 faces. Because, I mean, come on, guys, it's 1997, 8, 9. Like, that's this era. So, I mean, yeah.
Right.
They're probably trying to... It adds a little, increased... I don't want to say realism, but it gives you like a point of familiarity if you're living in 1999. But now, even 20 years later, where games have reached out to the point that you can have hundreds of individual faces in a game, we're just like, man, this game's from like 1997. Which, I mean, it is.
It's true.
I love GoldenEye, guys. Movie,
so do I.
game, soundtrack.
We used to do GoldenEye nights.
We should do them again.
I
We
would
should
do
do
them.
them again.
Can
Oh
we
my
do
God,
that
we
on the
totally
network
did
yet?
it.
Do you guys have
No.
Steam?
I'm sure.
I think there's a GoldenEye game on Steam we could play. It's probably
I'm sure
free.
there's a way to do it.
I used to be so good at it, but I have not played it in so long. My 9-year-old can beat me.
What's the point of being good? It's all about just the silly. Being able to smack the guy next to you because he's cheating.
Trying to race to pick Odd Job.
Ugh. Who?
Yeah.
No way,
Who's gonna
man.
get Odd Job?
You either play as 006 because Sean Bean is amazingly handsome, or you skip
Or
all the way
Shmi.
to the end and you play as that really cool looking guy from the caverns with like the black shirt and the beret. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I was always Shmi.
Or maybe the Siberian Commando, the guy with like the full face gas mask thing.
But you gotta be Odd Job because it's very hard to do a headshot on Odd Job.
If you're good at the game, it doesn't matter if they.
That's true.
Nope. I was never an odd job guy.
You couldn't slap him either. You had to bend over and hit him on the crouch down.
Oh my.
That's what she said.
That was why the reason to get Odd Job is because if you can get in close, you can just slap someone to death, and it's really entertaining.
You know, a
Causes a lot of fights.
quick further aside on that game. For children who are listening to this, who are, I mean, anyone under the age of 30 probably.
Yeah.
GoldenEye is a game that came on a plastic cartridge, which is like an SD card that you can't overwrite, but huge, and it had a battery in it, and hopefully mine's still good, because if it's not, I'm going to cry. Anyway, here's the thing about GoldenEye that you guys don't understand. There were no easy ways to beat anything. So you would get really good at a level on 00 Agent, and you'd beat it for all your friends. And then the levels you were bad at, you'd have to have your friends beat it for you.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody had a specialty, man. Bunker 2, that's me. Aztec, that's Brian. If you need Aztec beaten on 00 Agent, you go to Brian, not me. I can't do it.
Nice. Yeah, it was Fortnite, way before Fortnite.
I think I was Facilities.
Facility was good. Did you ever get the, did you ever unlock all the codes?
Yes.
So
Not all of them, but
Oh,
yeah.
dude. You know, years later, it turned out there was a way you could do that without actually doing all the work, but they hit it so well that nobody knew it until like probably 2002.
Wow.
Yeah, they did a really good job. Plus the codes are like 15 entries long, so nobody could figure it out by accident.
Right.
It's not like Contra.
No, it's no, no.
Up, down, down. No,
Yeah, my 5-year-olds know the Contra code. Just because
it's on T-shirts.
it makes
now.
an excellent. It's a great Atari song if you're into the Ataris,
Yeah.
the punk band.
I know of the Ataris. I don't think I've ever heard that song.
Yeah, up, down, left, right, BA start.
That's
Today was a good day. Didn't even have to use my AK. At least I didn't get my heart broken anyway. Wasting time in East New Jersey. Hey, it's one of you guys. You New Jersey people.
we are in East New Jersey. The
Whoa.
armpit.
There you go.
Nice.
No wonder you guys are so into punk rock.
No, actually, are we west? I think we're west.
Yeah,
no,
you
yeah,
are
we're
definitely in
west.
West Jersey.
We're west.
Yeah, we're West Jersey.
I was thinking that.
Man,
I'm
so
like,
many
Eastern-
maps on this
eh,
show.
Whatever.
This is a geography show.
Well, it's about to be a biology show. George, are you ready for me to red pill you?
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Are you
sounds
ready?
hot.
What about you,
Yeah.
Travis? Are you taking the red pill?
I don't need a blue pill, but I'll take a red pill.
Well, let me let you guys in on a little secret that it's not a secret anymore because it's been all over the internet for the past. Well, it's August of 2020, folks, when we're recording this. For the past 2 months or 3 months, the Wachowski brothers, who are now the Wachowski siblings, are so sick of people on the internet using the term red pill colloquially to mean fascism. I'm really confused as to how it can be used positively. Maybe you guys can explain that. But here's the deal. This entire movie is a metaphor for coming out as transgendered. And here is why the red pill, blue pill thing is important. At the time, in the late 90s, there was not the growing support that there is today for that community. And so you had two choices. You could take antidepressants and anti-anxiety medicine and just kind of blur the rest of your life away.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Or you could do hormone replacement therapy, which in the late 90s came in a red pill. Yeah. Now, I've sent you guys a picture. Look at these two freeze frames of my friend, the bug from your guts. In the context of the actual meaning of the red pill, do you see why I sent you those particular freeze frames of the bug in the guts?
It looks like a human appendage.
It looks like a penis.
Yeah.
So here he is, as a character, being given an appendage he didn't ask for. And then a lady with masculine features and a short haircut, somewhere on the line between the two genders, removes it for him in the back of a car. Okay, the back of the car thing. But I mean, it's the 90s. Who knows? I wasn't there.
Right.
But this whole movie is a metaphor for transforming, whatever the official term is, to transmute from one gender to the other or to the in-between. Isn't that interesting? 20 years we sat on this thinking it was a movie about shooting guns in a lobby. And I always thought it was a Greek philosophy thing myself. But I guess it was more than that.
So this is from the director's, writer's
from
mouth?
the directors, yeah. They've been talking about it on Twitter more and more because they're so sick of seeing this thing that they built that was so beautiful and kind of their own be co-opted by a group that has changed it.
It's so obscurely represented. Like, if that's what you wanted to do. Now, I know the time frame makes you want to keep it in the closet, but that is so not close to what I got from it. Like, I knew there was an underlying message there, but I would have never thought of that. So they kind of failed at I guess they kind of did this on their own. Like, they would have little parties and be like, yeah, this is what that's about. But it probably fell on so many people to not mean that.
But I bet if you were in that community, I bet if you are of the transgender identity, I'm sure you look at this movie, you're like, oh shit, that's my jam. But I'm not going to get it as a cis boring person. I'm not going to understand. And so I'm glad that they brought that out and said that, because for the last year or two, I've been hearing people talk about getting red pilled, and it means something way different
What was the inscription above the door in the kitchen, in the Oracle's kitchen? It was "Know thyself."
Oh, was it?
I think. Yeah. See, I thought it was. I mean, obviously, I'm not in that situation either, Dan, like you, and so I thought it was. It was the story, not the story, but like the point was to be true to yourself, or to take control of, kind of like to transcend your situation, basically.
Well, and that's you're right. It's Latin for know thyself. I just looked it up. But
yeah,
I guess it was inscribed, according to this post on Reddit, at the Temple of Apollo in Greece, where the famous Oracle of Delphi resided. And so it doesn't limit itself to their specific situation. You're right. It is a more general tale about overcoming your situation. But
it's open
just seeing where they came from to get that very specific red pill, blue pill thing, which really, if you took that scene out, the movie's no different.
Right.
You're like, hey, you got to get in this boat. Okay. Or
yeah,
no,
he doesn't have to
make
it. He doesn't have to take a pill. He doesn't have to take a pill. He just has to make a choice.
Well, that's the thing. The pill doesn't do, what does the pill do? What is the actual MacGuffin purpose of the pill? It changes the tracking so we can track you. They've been tracking it for the whole movie.
It never comes up again.
See, this is all interesting, but I always looked at the pill as clarity. Like, just you can remain in the dark about what's going on, or you can have full clarity. That's how I always interpreted it.
Yeah.
And then him taking the pill, I took that as just full trust. Like, if you trust me, you will take this pill and we will take this journey.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, like you said, the pill really doesn't mean anything. It doesn't do anything to the character.
It's a symbol.
But it's a symbol of trust. That's why I always looked at it as like, Morpheus is telling him, take this pill, I will give you clarity, so you will understand your existence and understand what all this is about.
And to further that point, kind of like the Spider-Man, Peter Parker.
Great power comes great responsibility.
Comes great responsibility. So,
yes.
Everybody thinks that they want to know, but knowing, kind of increases your culpability.
Yeah. Because as a child, you look at your parents in a certain way, and you look at, life a certain way, and then when you get older and you get full knowledge of who your parents are, and it changes everything, because now you have full clarity on, your childhood. You have full clarity on their life. You understand, because you're now a parent.
Oh yeah, you
what they've
understand
been
lots.
through,
Yeah.
and it's like, to me, that's kind of like ingesting the red pill, because you could choose to keep your parents on a pedestal and say, well, not that. They would never say that.
Dude, Trav, it can be anything.
Right. So I always thought it was open to interpretation. It's funny that they, because of what's going on today, that they're now coming out with this, and they're making it very specific.
Well, but I don't know if they're
when it could be.
Well, and that's so it's one of those. It's a nuanced thing, right? Like the movie itself still works in a general sense. The movie is not about being transgender so much as it is
Right.
like written through a lens of a person who is transgender. So
And knowing yourself and being yourself.
and knowing
Yeah.
yourself
And being
and
what
being
you're
yourself,
supposed
which
to be.
is specific for everybody's situation,
Right.
including me and my. But
Right.
that's okay. I'm right now, but just because we. That's all I'm saying.
And it is about your potential too.
Your potential
Like-
to notice that. I need to get off this.
No, your
pill.
potential. Listen, you finally got to.
Hey,
stop
just
whining.
because I said years ago, if we would just they'd, and what happened,
Okay.
guys?
I don't know.
I honestly, Dan, I think that the at this point is going to you many. So
Yeah.
But
I
the-
think we
but
should.
I'm
they-
happy
they're-
about that.
Right? These are blue pill guys. I don't want them.
The blue pill.
Blue pills.
Also, the movie, that would probably be something we'd look into more. It would have looked into more, like, what is the deal with this red pill, blue pill thing? Except, lobby scene is amazing in the 90s and early 2000s. Also, the blue pill that followed this movie changed everybody's opinion of what the
Yeah.
blue pill was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm.
Boner
It's true.
pills. And
Well,
so
again, the blue pill is an illusion.
It is an illusion.
Yeah, that's what she said.
that's not what she said.
Now to go back to your, I don't want to go off topic too far, but
please do.
there is a movie that I can't remember when it came out.
We
but
don't
there's
talk
a
about
scene-
movies here, Travis.
Okay, I'll try not to.
Yeah, you have any geography topics?
No, I don't know where this movie took place. All I know is in the kitchen of this house, they have a discussion about how the movie Top Gun is a commentary on Maverick's struggle with his homosexuality. And they talk about it. It's hilarious. Now, did you ever see Top Gun?
It sounds like a conversation that happened Clerks.
It's not in Clerks.
I'm pretty
It
sure we
sounds
had
like
this
that- yeah.
conversation about 10 minutes ago.
Did we?
We were talking about George playing beach volleyball.
Yes.
And then I
well, they
sang
talk.
the-
They talk about that.
synth
And
part
they
of that
say
song.
how Maverick was not interested in Kelly McGillis's character, and he goes to her house after the volleyball game where all the men are shirtless, and he takes a shower at her house, and nothing happens, and then she wanted something to happen, but he didn't do anything, and then the next morning he sees her in the elevator, and she's wearing a baseball hat and a bomber jacket, and that's when they fell in love.
Mm.
So it's hilarious. I think it might be Jon Favreau talking, but it's like one of those movies where it's like Eric Stoltz or somebody in the kitchen, and it's at a party, and they're just pontificating about this movie, Top Gun. It's hilarious. I recommend it. I wish I knew what movie it was. I'm gonna have to Google it,
Yeah.
but it's funny. If you haven't seen Top Gun, then you won't get all the references, but it's still funny.
I know a little bit about Top Gun. I haven't seen
They
it.
specifically talk about scenes.
I watched one the other day. It's called Live Like a Cop, and the subtitle is Die Like a Man. And it's directed by Ruggero Deodato, who's like the guy that did
Mr.
Cannibal
Roboto?
Holocaust. Right?
Okay.
Like, this guy is an infamous Italian director. And this is a cop movie, buddy cop kind of thing. They're like partners out there kicking butt. And it's Ray Lovelock, who's kind of dreamy. And the whole movie is just sexual tension between the two. And I was like, man. Like, it's never stated explicitly. But I was like, man, look at this, like, this famous Italian director just sneaking that subtext in, probably to laugh at the audience as they're like, yeah, man, that's my favorite movie. I high-five my buddies, and we get out there, and we hang out together, and we watch this movie, and we all get hard. It's awesome.
We
But
just circle jerk for an
They
hour.
never once address it, right? It's never like, oh, hey, by the way, this movie's real progressive for 1976. But
Right.
it's amazing. You guys have to watch that movie. It's a good movie. I mean, okay, it's a stupid cop movie, but yeah. Anyway, not the only movie I've seen lately where they sneak a little
It's no
something
Lethal
in.
Weapon, right?
No, it's no.
There's no sexual tension in Lethal Weapon that I can see.
Yikes. Actually, I don't know if I remember that movie well. We might have to watch that movie for me at some point because I haven't seen that since
Right.
like
It's
the early 90s. Probably
good
on
stuff.
TV. Like,
Okay.
yeah. Live like a cop. Die like a man. Share every woman in that movie one at a time. It was very strange. They'd take turns every time.
Wow.
Like, what are you guys in? Like, that's your first question when you're watching this movie. It's like, why do they keep doing that? Then by the end of the movie, you're like,
'Cause it feels good.
oh, gotcha. Cool. Then everything explodes.
That's hot.
It's not very subtle.
No. It just comes to a head.
It's not a good, now that I think about it, it's a poorly done movie, even by Deodato standards. If you ever want to see a good Deodato, though, guys, for real, Waves of Lust sounds like a Cinemax movie. It's actually really good. It's got it's got Al Cliver, John Steiner, a couple of ladies who are probably famous. I think one of them was
Duke?
no,
John Snyder?
the guy from Tenebrae. Have you guys seen Tenebrae yet?
don't know who that is, no.
We're gonna have to watch Tenebrae.
Okay. Never heard of it.
What? What?
Me
Never.
neither.
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
Tenebrae? The best
Tenebrae?
Dario Argento
I went to high
movie?
school with a Tenebrae. Sound familiar?
Oh, God. John Steiner is in Waves of Lust. You got Al Cliver before he got all weird and kind of mean by the zombie movies. It's a good one, and it's all kinds of, like, edgy and weird, you know? It's You gotta check
Put it on my
It's good.
list.
Yeah. I'm going to take you guys on a tour of Italy sometime, but just the trash, not the good stuff.
Yeah.
No artistic Italian movies, unless you count the Argento stuff. It's all trash.
So we're not watching that Diane Lane movie about Tuscany? Okay.
No,
'Cause
but
I'll
we
watch
will
her.
watch some Greek stuff too.
I don't
Some
know if
really
I can
weird
watch
Greek
some
stuff.
weird Greek stuff.
It's on Mykonos. It's pretty scenery. You don't sound like you're coming with me on that journey. That's okay. It's for the better.
Sounds like a lone
It's
trip.
not good.
That might be a solo.
I'll come with you just to be the contrarian in the group.
There you go.
It's great. Anyway, just won't let it. Yeah. Okay.
Toga.
Oh man, I did watch Revenge of the Nerds this week, guys.
You
Doesn't
did?
hold up. Doesn't hold up.
It doesn't?
It's funny. There are some funny parts, but certain parts of that movie are just so
Wrong.
objectionable,
Yeah.
and not like in an offensive way, but in like a criminal, legal way.
Yeah. But that was the 80s.
I guess.
Yeah.
I
They
don't
got away
know.
with so much. Like even some of the greats. Like some of the classics, you're like, oh my god, did they just do that? Like you said, in Nerds, I had to actually Google it because I didn't know what you were referring to when we talked about it. When you said there was like a rape scene in there, I'm like, wait, what? I know about the panty raid, but there's a rape scene, and then I realized you're right that he wears a mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So you're
it's
right, but I
bad.
didn't even think of it that way. I just thought of it like kind of like when you watch those old 70s and 80s European and Russian game shows where they it's kind of like hidden camera, but they basically put people in sexually it's almost sexual harassment. Like they'll
The
get
hell are you talking about?
they'll get naked in front of people
What?
and then they laugh
You
about
won't
it.
come with me to Mykonos to watch a trashy Greek movie from the 70s, but you'll watch Russian hidden camera pee-pee tape stuff? Very strange.
No. It's like they take a woman and she'll go into like a sauna, and when she's in there, they change the locker room into an office. So when she comes out, there's like 5 men sitting there in business suits, and she's like half naked, and it's like funny to
So was the sauna in an office, or did they make a
No.
fake office outside
they made
the sauna?
a fake office outside of a sauna.
So
it's
they
like,
were like,
it-
hey, we need 5 guys to sit here, so when that lady comes out naked,
right.
she'll feel like
So
they're
it's borderline Me
looking-
Too harassment, but in Europe it was funny, like like upskirt stuff, like ladies in a library, and she's up on the ladder and her dress falls, and the old man is like, "Wow," And they all laugh about it once they point
It's
out
like
the camera.
candid camera.
It's candid camera, but
Yeah.
it's like adult candid camera.
Yeah.
And you're thinking to yourself, like, all this shit is questionable. It's all harassment.
Yeah.
But it's
This
comedy.
might be why they always say the Italian sex comedy has not made a comeback like all the Italian and Greek and British slasher stuff from the
Mhm.
70s, because it, quote unquote, doesn't translate well to an American audience.
Right. A lot of the ones I've seen
Is
are
it
like
like
in
that?
Russia.
I bet it's like that.
Yeah, it's like Russian. So, they'll have a sign outside of a store that says, come in for, free massage. And when you come in, the woman is naked. And
Just
it's
to
like,
get the.
and you're like, yeah, okay. But then,
Are you?
well, no, but most of the guys are looking at her like, wow, hello. But that wouldn't fly. Like, that's the kind of shit today that would get you, canceled.
Or
You know?
like, I mean, I don't know.
Or
that
arrested.
That one in
Or
particular,
arrested.
I don't know if that would get you canceled. I mean, they may still let you play in the playoffs.
Well,
Well, if it was
next week.
if
and
it was
win a Super Bowl.
HBO, yeah.
As long as you're an owner of,
Yeah.
a big team.
Oh, jeez.
As long as you're in a good market,
Yeah, as
Yeah.
long as you're, in New
good
England.
good TV market.
So, George, I don't mean to throw you in the back of a car and attack you with a dental x-ray machine, but I need to get the answers out of you as quickly as possible. What did you think of The Matrix?
I thought it was good. I mean, like out of 4 stars, it's got 3.5.
Did it meet your expectations because you were looking forward to it?
Yeah, it
Okay.
did.
Well, that's good. That's all that matters.
Yeah,
Are you going to watch the sequels?
You might like 'em.
probably,
Yeah, you should.
probably.
I think you should. There's
You
some
might
good
want
stuff.
to catch up on your Greek philosophy before you do, just saying.
Especially with
Okay.
the albino twins. I'm joking, but they're in
That's
there.
a different... I think that's the Mantrix
I don't know.
has the albino
It's the
twin.
Matrix? No, there's the albino twins in the second Matrix.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it,
I
man.
believe. You didn't
I'm
say
gonna
it, so you don't know.
I'm going to sit out the
Ah.
homework on this one because,
Yeah.
I do like the lobby scene, though, I guess. I don't know. There's a lot of guns.
I look at it as George looked forward to this movie for a long time. It's a 30-year-old movie, 20-something-year-old
20
movie.
year.
20,
20.
21 years.
21-year-old movie, and it met its expectations, and it holds up, and
Yeah.
the story speaks to you, and it gives you what you wanted, so be it. That's good. There's a lot of movies I own that no one else likes, so
Do you guys not
Beautiful.
like this movie?
I like it, but it's not like one of my favorites.
I mean,
but I
Dan,
like
you
it.
don't have to answer. I know you don't like it. It's fine.
No, it's fine. I mean, I like it. I like what they're doing with it. I like that they had the freedom as kind of a lesser known pair. I mean, if you've seen their early stuff, it's not nearly on this scale.
Right.
That they were able to get so much into it from like the intellectual perspective while also doing the awesome effects. Like all that is great. But is the sum greater than the parts? I don't think so.
Right.
It doesn't gestalt for me.
See, I look at it more like in a world of Hollywood where they all do remakes and whatever, and there's not an original idea to be had. Movies like The Matrix and Fifth Element and stuff like that, where you watch it, the Dark City, they take that superhero feel, but it's original enough where it's not biting off anything. It sets its own precedence. It sets its own tone. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I think it was original enough. It was so original that I couldn't watch it as myself. Like I couldn't watch it as George thinking, oh, this character, this character, this is what's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. I really thought Morpheus was going to die.
Right.
I really thought he had to. Like, you know what I
Like a
mean?
sacrifice.
The whole thing is so far-fetched. It's so sci-fi that it's like, they set their own rules. And so you're watching the movie thinking, okay, this isn't real life's rules. This is this movie's rules. And so you sit down and you watch it trying to figure out what's going on based on their rules that they set for the movie. So yeah, it was original enough to where I couldn't watch it like I normally watch a movie.
Right. And it was original then. Now it's been borrowed from a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of parts in that movie and themes in that movie that have been redone and reused. So it might not be original now, but if you watched it in 2000 or 1999, it was original.
Yeah.
So
It changed everything, man.
Yeah,
This was
it
the
changed
movie
everything.
that made DVD like a must-own format.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about how big a deal that is. Just barring all the pop culture references, the difference in home media today you don't get to streaming without Netflix. You don't get to Netflix without DVDs.
Right.
Thank you, Matrix, for ruining.
Thank you,
movies.
Suncoast. I miss you. And it's one of those movies that'll be in your library, and you'll probably watch it again because it's enjoyable enough for you because your first experience was good.
Yeah.
So it's not like it was a chore to watch.
No.
So that's good.
And it would be a good movie to reboot at some point. I think they're going to eventually do a sequel or something. But,
right.
Like, if anything, you don't have to really up the special effects. You could just kind of, streamline the narrative a little bit. Give me more jumping, shooting.
Well,
Matrix,
Keanu looks
a
so
little
good. He
bit
could probably
less
do it.
of the floaty thing.
You could put Keanu in it. He probably looks like he could run
No,
another 3
I
movies.
think they actually are.
Yeah.
From what I heard. So, yeah, man.
Nice.
Hey, George.
Yes.
Have you ever seen The Matrix?
I have now.
But have you really seen it, man? I mean, like, seen it? Or have you just, like, watched the
I'm
movie?
questioning whether I'm living in it.
Ooh. Travis, I think we did our work this week.
Yes.
But what are we going to do next week?
Funny how it came up in our last conversation about music and movies and how it sets a tone and how
boy.
you, have to pay attention to it.
Are we doing 1776?
No,
Would
we're
somebody
doing
open up a window?
Showboat.
Sit down, John.
Rogers and Hammerstein.
Rent? Are we doing Rent?
Are we doing
Rent.
Hamilton?
Hamilton.
Ooh.
That would be a good one.
Wanna go out
We are doing,
tonight?
this week, we will be watching John Carpenter's Halloween.
Really?
Yes.
Yes. The time has come, George.
The time has come.
How?
You're ready.
What do you mean how? We just did it.
Is Dan flying up here or
No, we're not doing it that way.
Oh, that sucks.
I know.
I thought you were surprising me. Dan's
that'd
coming
be
up next
amazing.
week.
Yeah, I'm going
What?
to
Dan's coming
drive
in.
through a pandemic to watch a 45-year-old movie with you guys. But yes, watch it once. Love it, I hope. And then if you don't, I'll make you love it.
Okay.
Next week will be a 2-hour episode.
Yeah, for real.
Oh, jeez.
Just the podcast was going to be 2 hours long.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, it'll be,
Yeah.
easily. Then I'm going to have to mail you a book. But
Okay.
it's okay. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because it is probably one of my favorite movies, and I know it's one of Dan's favorite movies. So hopefully,
Changed my life,
it
for sure.
yeah, it will be one of your favorite movies.
Or not. I mean, you might hate it.
Yeah, you could
But then
hate
then the podcast is canceled. So.
I'm taking my shit. I'm going home. And bring any of this shit? Fine, I'm going home. It's all your shit.
None of this shit's yours.
None of this shit is yours. Fine. I'm out of here. I don't need anything but this TV guide and this chair and this remote control. Sorry, jerk reference.
All right, guys. Thanks for sticking with the Remedial Film Class podcast. As always, you can contact us on Twitter and Instagram at Remedial Film Pod. You can also get us at facebook.com/remedialfilmpod. Or you can even email us at remedialfilmpod@gmail.com. We'll see you here next week.